Call your sponsor.
Call you sponsor.
Call
you
Call
sponsor.
your
Call you
sponsor.
sponsor. Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor. Call.
I love the have some soup. That's so beautiful. I had a friend that used to pick up the phone and then like his whatever sponsee was on fire and he's like, go have a sandwich and then call me back. Literally, they go have a sandwich, they call him back. Like, I forgot why I called you. Do you know what I mean? It was like the halt. Like it's really the basics, have a piece of bread, have some soup, like take a nap, like it's the halt, really,
Yeah, someone told me when it's hysterical, it's historical.
Mm.
And I just would be like, I don't want to be hysterical. And so now I've really taken that in. And like we were talking about before, the stoicism, I picture, and sorry, these are like white older males, but they're my role models. Sorry, is Don Draper in Mad Men.
Yes.
And then George Clooney in a suit with his legs crossed in a boardroom. Like I just picture this like, it looks a little smug, but just this stoicism of like having control over their dominion. And I want that.
Dare I bring up Cersei Lannister? I'm kidding. I'm not bringing up Cersei. Oh my God, Team Cersei. Shame on you, Team Cersei. No, so yeah,
I love it.
Emotional sobriety. Yeah, I also think like outside of Bill's letter, I think they published this letter. They've created a book around this. There's a bunch of different things. The book that this article that I also reference in The Guardian, it's called Distill Spirit, and I think it was coming out in October of 2012, which kind of talks about this other, it mentions the doctors that he was working with. And this other kind of organization, there were letters that were uncovered. One was to Father Ed Dowling, who was a Catholic priest and a member of this experimental group that he formed in New York. And then there's mentions a bunch of names. Betty Eisner, an American psychologist known for pioneering the use of LSD and other psychedelic drugs as adjuncts to psychotherapy, Sidney Cohen, a psychotherapist. There's like a bunch of people that in the medical community that were looking to utilize these interventions for further healing, But when I think about emotional sobriety, I also think about, the emotional hangover it talks about in 10, in the 12 and 12, where when I could fly off the handle with temporary insanity, with adrenaline, with anger, with all of those things. And, for me, that's kind of also what I kind of put this into that same bucket of, where are my emotions? For me, it's like, where am I not feeling my emotions? Because all this like temporary insanity, me, blowing up at whatever cab driver or Uber driver or, the Amex fraud alert person who are all trying to help me, for me, when I blow up at them, it's a lot of that for me tends to be like, oh, there's something else that I'm not addressing and or feeling, and it's coming out all sorts of sideways.
Yeah, I relate to you. When you've discussed the blow-ups, I relate a lot. I have the same experience. And it's the freeze, flight, fawn. To me, it's the amygdala brain that takes over. And what is making sense to me today could be different 4 months from now, is that all of those people I'm interacting with are me. And there's not a safety or sense of security within me. And these people aren't doing it the right way, or they're not concerned about me, or they're not going to take care of me, or they're going to let me down, or, something where I'm afraid my needs aren't going to be met. and they need to meet them. They have to. Who else is going to meet them? And it's scary. And then what I've been doing is like, okay, that's you in that car ahead of you. How can you be loving and kind to them instead of go around them? I've gotten so good now that I am not even turning and giving the look of disdain.
Oh, I love that.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still revving up and going around them, but I no longer have to turn and look and do a look of disdain because I'm like, that's me in that car. That is me.
Yes. Oh gosh, this gets me. Okay, so 2 words, Brianna Wiest. I think you turned me on to her. Do you know that?
Love.
Yes.
Love.
She's top 20. She's top 20.
Oh, yes. 100%.
I think I shared with you, I was reading one of her books and I was blown away. I had to pull over and reread it 3 times. And it turned out to be, it was an Audible book I was listening to. And it turned out to be the title of one of the chapters. And the title was, Every Relationship I Have is with Myself, which is exactly what you're saying. Every relationship I have is with myself. Ugh.
Yeah. She is on another fucking level.
Another level.
She had some experience as a kid. I think it was like remote viewing or something. Like she would go to bed and be jolted out of her body, out of her physical body.
Whoa.
And experience things. And now when you read her writings, I find them so interesting. There's not a hint of codependency in there. She doesn't say, I kind of feel like maybe you she's like, when you do this, this will happen. Like she's just so truth. It just all sounds like truth in what she says. And I read a couple of her articles when I was going through my marriage imploding in 2016, and I emailed her like, hey, listen, I am losing it. I am having a nervous breakdown. I am in recovery. I have this many years. My husband's leaving. I can't function. I'm supposed to I just poured out my heart to her because and this is, I think, before she had a book, one of her articles just, she wrote me back, Sam.
Oh my God, how much do I love her even more?
She wrote me back and was like, you are going to be okay. And I took that. Like, I don't think she wrote me more than a few sentences, but they were powerful. And I was like, all right, I'm hanging on to those for 4 days.
Oh, wow. I love that. I believe she's young in age, like, right? She's wise with her words. Like, someone, I didn't look her up. I think someone like Wikipedia her or whatever were like, yeah, I don't think she's 30 yet or something. And I was like, huh? Like the stuff that I was reading was like, this is so evolved and like, because it is so simple and so true and hits so deep. And so, yeah, she's I mean, she's maybe top 10 for me, actually. Anyway, so
I'm with you on that.
You're on top 10, right? She's just, yeah.
Totes.
And she's such a prolific, she has so many books.
Her last name is Weiss. Do you think, is she?
Oh, you think Diane Weiss, like that actress or something?
I'm just wondering. I mean, I should look it up before I start talking, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she's based in Topanga, I want to say, or at least she rented a cabin or somewhere, and that's where she did a lot of her work, or maybe one of her books, or I'm not sure. I was thinking Topanga. I mean, a lot of people, there's an energy in Topanga. Andrew Huberman was in Topanga over COVID, apparently.
Really?
That's what I heard on the podcast.
We need to go find him.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know where he is now.
My tracker says that he's in, no, I'm just kidding.
I don't think he's still in Topanga, but he definitely says he was in Topanga over COVID. And I think that's where he started the podcast, in Topanga, over COVID. And I think the last I heard, he had bought a house. But where that house is, I have no idea. Why do I want to say Austin? But I don't think that's true. But who knows?
I think he's good friends with Joe Rogan, so Austin does sound right.
Okay, well, I mean, I think he would I mean, Marianne and him, I think, are vying for one in our book, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you would say more Marianne. Well, depending upon the day,
Mhm.
I think. But
Mhm.
I mean, she's a classic. She's classic. It's like
She's a Chanel guest.
she's classic. Like, I mean, I think I mean, because I used to go see her at Saban and stuff, but it became too political for me. But yeah, I think there is definitely an energy and a vibe and an awareness, right? I think what it is, you know what I'm realizing, and this is so far off topic, but I'm just going to share anyway, is that I think it's like a quiet mind, right? It's the peace of
Yes.
mind. That's the energy that I'm actually feeling.
Oh my God. Sam. Yes. And you know, my brain tells me that if I do actually just relax and don't do it, that trouble's going to happen, that I have to be hyper vigilant. Like my growing up, like there was a woman in my house. Some people call her mom. They call their own mom. But she was smoking and falling asleep on the couch, you know? I just have this sense of like always have to be aware. So I do want that. Like I want that so bad. I want that relaxation. I want that peace. And a part of me says like, no, you can't do that. You can't just relax.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I was in a meeting the other day and I couldn't help but see how many long timers with like 40 plus years were there. And I really felt grounded in that room. You know, and like as like the split screen to what you're sharing of like where you were, you know, I've been with, you know, my parents or people that were distracted. And I know that energy, right? Where there's no presence, they're just no eye contact, they're not planted where their feet or their ass are. They're just everywhere else. It's a lot of, you know, brain activity. And I felt really grounded, you know, because it's kind of like they've been practicing this. Well, this is a story I have. They've been practicing it for so much that there's less noise in the brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just think it depends upon the person, right? Because I think you can have 40 years and, you know,
batshit crazy.
Not have that sense of peace or grounding. And you can have 4 months and be totally connected. But you're right. If someone, like I have a sponsor who's been practicing meditation 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening every day for at least 7 to 8 years. There is a sense of grounding every time I speak with her.
God, I love that. Oh, God, I love this. Okay, so we're at our final 5. I was going to ask a question about emotional sobriety.
Bring it. Bring it.
Isn't that funny? It's the topic, and I'm going to ask a question about emotional. How does that work? Okay.
Synchronicity, I guess. I don't know.
It's just really bizarre. So, is there a difference in, okay, like through your growth and evolution from, you know, actively, you know, alcoholic without a program versus post-program, early recovery, you know, wherever you are now, has there been, with regards to emotional sobriety, like is there like a split screen difference in like a definition or perception of like how is there a difference in how you would have described it before versus now, or how you're experiencing it?
Oh yeah, okay, I get you. Yes, I think when I first came in and they said emotional sobriety, if I even heard that word, which I don't think I did for the first 4 years.
Yeah.
All I could relate that to was having the hope of having a feeling and then not experiencing emotional hangover the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Like early in sobriety, that was my only hope, was to be able to navigate a couple of interactions with people that didn't go well and not have an emotional hangover the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of get that a few times and you get used to having that. And then I started to realize I only get the emotional hangovers when I'm the one who I have a bigger part in the situation. That's my experience today. And then now what emotional sobriety looks like is being comfortable in discomfort.
Oh.
That, I remember, there was one time where I was, 2007, 2010, somewhere in there, I was going through this really problematic time at work. I know, we're all shocked. What? But I remember telling my husband, it feels like there's 6 or 7 people 4 miles down the road that dislike me and are talking about me. And he said, that's because there's 6 or 7 people 4 miles down the road that don't like you and are talking about you.
Mm.
He was right, that's exactly what was happening. And now it's like, how can I be comfortable in my skin even if that is happening? How can I find peace? How can I wish them all love and joy no matter what, even if all of that is happening? And today I'm there, like right now in this moment, I'm there. I wish there's not a person on earth that I don't wish peace and love and health and wealth to, because I deeply can wish that for myself. What about you?
Oh gosh, this is so good. So I guess in early recovery, I don't know. I too don't know. I was very mocus, and I don't really recall a lot. I thought I was like the shit. I know that much, but I don't really remember anything else. But I guess if I would to say like around emotional sobriety and early recovery, anything emotional for me was like, it was about sobriety meant that I needed to feel good. And it wasn't about necessarily having a full spectrum of feelings, or feeling multiple things at one time. It's like, no, like sobriety is about serenity, period, all the time. And if it wasn't, then something was wrong, and then now it's more kind of like what you were sharing, where it's like, I think about like, I forget where it says it, but it's an unshakable foundation for life. I think it's between 10 and 11 in the 12 and 12, where it talks about inventory and meditation is an unshakable foundation for life. And, that is where I see this thing. It's not attached to or contingent on people, places, or things. It's this more inward thing that I can be okay, similar to this Bob thing that we'll have a whole other episode on. And then it's also what Bill mentions in this thing where it's like, it's a spiritual law. I get what I give. And when I just give from a place of love versus expecting or contingent on getting something, that's where peace and for me this like foundation comes from, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Damn, throwing it down. Woo! I hope y'all are picking up what we're putting down, because this is just pure gold. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Misty.
All right, I will see you on the next one, and bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor.
New episode tomorrow. Send us an email, bcysponsor@gmail.com.